Take a little trip with me and hopefully you can see how the hood, suburbs, and Main Street are all connected. Enough respect it, I mean, we network across the globe cause it's a global market in case you didn't know. And since we all about information flow, let me be the first one to welcome you to Tech Zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. Let's talk tech cause technology changing the game. It's all good in the hood, it's everywhere. Now let's get to the show cause we live on air, yeah.
Welcome to the Tech Zone. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. So happy to have you here on our Women in Tech edition of the Tech Zone. We're going to give some honor. We're going to give some love to the women in tech. And we have three beautiful women joining us today. Coming up in our first segment, we're going to talk about the Consumer Technology Association. You know, everyone knows I'm a big fan of the Consumer Technology Association. Well, they have a publication out there that will keep you abreast of everything that's hot in innovation. And you don't want to miss how you can subscribe to that magazine. And I'll let you know a little secret. It's free. So we're going to talk to the editor-in-chief and the senior director of publications for the Consumer Technology Association, the lovely Cindy Stevens. She will be joining us. Coming up in our second segment, we're going to be talking to a company who was founded by a woman from Eastern Europe. She's going to be joining me all the way from Europe talking about this app that will help you parents get your kids to start doing their chores. Yeah, I said it. Can you believe that? Is it worth your 10 to 15 minutes to listen to the interview to get those kids to start doing those chores? And lastly, in the third segment of the show, parents, teachers, educators, are you having a hard time teaching the children that are under your care certain things, math, social studies? Wouldn't it be nice to have an innovation out there that can help you out? I know there's a lot of commercials out there about this one that claim of fame of having, you know, your kids get smarter. But we're going to talk to another woman in tech in our third segment who started this company with her mother to help education. And you are going to just enjoy that interview as much as I did, getting our kids smarter and teaching them. And teaching everyone, all of our kids, no matter what your station in life is, rich, poor, middle class. Don't want to miss that interview coming up in our third segment. Don't forget, you can always connect with me, paulonwheels.com. That's paulonwheels.com. And thank you so much. We're almost at 500 subscribers. Hopefully at the end of this show, we'll be at 500. 555. Yes, that would be so amazing. And it's all because of you guys out there. Sean still hasn't accepted my invitation to be a part of the show. But hopefully, Sean, right, man? Sean said, why you put me on blast? I'm not going to make you any crust in that pie that I make. So I got to be nice to Sean. Sean's our awesome engineer at home base at ABC News Radio, KMET, the mighty 1490. Well, let's get the show on the road. You guys ready? Let's do this. You know I love innovation. Now, the question is, do you love innovation as I do? You know, I talk about the Consumer Technology Association all the time. You follow me when I cover CES, broadcasting live from there. And one thing I really love about the Consumer Technology Association, besides the folks over there, is their motto, how they stand for innovation and the promise of technology. And this is apparent in their brand new magazine that came out for July and August. Some of the stories there were amazing. So I reached out to the editor-in-chief over there, Cindy Stevens, to join me to talk about the great magazine and the beginning of it and what we got to look forward to. Cindy, how you doing, my dear?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
Now, Cindy, it's awesome to have you. And Cindy, let's talk about that publication. When was the first publication produced?
So CTA had a publication called Vision for 15 years, and it was kind of a marketing vehicle for CTA. And then back in 2012, our CEO, Gary Shapiro, decided that it was time to shake things up a little bit. And so we came up with this concept to start a brand new magazine, which we launched at the 2013 CES. And we called it It Is Innovation, or I3 for short. And basically, the magazine looks at innovation in all aspects of the consumer technology industry. So we look at technology advances, we look at policy, and we look at business, as well as the entrepreneurs and startups that continue to grow the industry.
And that's one thing I really appreciate about the Consumer Technology Association and what they do with startups, especially the event that's happening this month in San Jose, California. That's awesome with the startups and everything. So you guys really put your money where your mouth is. And when it comes, you guys walk the walk and you talk the talk when it comes to innovation. And, I've had this conversation with several people from the CTA about where technology is today. Remember, many years ago, it was just AM, FM radios, maybe washer and dryers. And now we see just innovation mushroom into this cloud of just many things out there.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, with hot topics, everyone's been talking about drones and 3D printing, but now the connected smart home is really becoming important. And people are talking about how the Internet of Things is starting to enable all of these connected devices to talk together to improve how consumers live their lives. So it is a really exciting time.
And as editor-in-chief, what's the challenge that you have to make sure that there's relevant information in the publication? Because I'm pretty sure you're probably inundated with all kind of innovation out there. Yeah. How do you kind of sift through all the maze of picking what you feel that the consumers and also ones in the industry would really like to know about?
Right. You're right. That is a huge challenge because the industry is so broad and there's so much happening in it that it's hard to kind of wrap your arms around all of it. But we basically just rely on we have a lot of experts here at CTA in our technology and standards group and in our market research department. And, they have a lot of expertise in the industry, so they contribute content. And then we also have freelance writers that I work with that, help me develop ideas for tech stories. And even sometimes our CTA members contribute stories for the magazine, which is great. So we kind of pull from a lot of different areas, and I just try and deliver a balanced approach. So we try and deliver different topics that may be of interest to different people.
And what has been like the feedback that the readers have given you from this publication?
Yeah. Well, so we do a reader survey every September. So we're getting ready to do another one this year. And we do get some interesting feedback. But one of the things that we found several years ago is that a lot of the people that are reading the magazine are from the automotive industry, which was kind of a surprise for me. So because of that information, we started to include an automotive feature in each issue. So
that's pretty cool. And that's how I really got my introduction with the CTA back in 96. I had a cell phone store shop, and I used to love going to the Consumer Electronics Show for the audio, where all the audio equipment was, the subwoofers, the amps, and everything. And then who would know that one day I would be a member of the media for the past 10 years and doing a tech show? Who would go figure, right? But you know what? And that's pretty interesting now. And when it comes to getting the feedback from the listeners, I know you have to have like water off a duck's back. It's kind of like what we do in the media. Some people are going to love it, some people are not going to love it. How do you not take it personal when people may say something about the way the direction is going?
Yeah, if anyone I'm always open to suggestions. So if anybody has suggestions or comments on things that they would like to read about or a different angle for an article, I am more than happy to hear about it. So I always encourage people to either, call me or, shoot me an email or, just to let me know, grab me at a conference and suggest a new storyline. That's fine. I like the feedback because, people do have some great ideas out there. So.
And Cindy, when it comes to innovation, what have you seen personally as kind of the biggest shift? I remember several years ago, Dr. Sean Dubervac now.
Right.
When he talked about the Internet of Things and digitizing things. Like, should we digitize that? Should we digitize this? In your opinion, what is your biggest shift that you've seen in innovation?
I think what's really going to be big right now, and you're hearing more and more about it, and in fact, we're covering this in our next issue, is virtual reality and also augmented reality. And I think, with Pokemon Go and all of the, gamification of technology, I think it's going to go a lot further than that. And I think AR in particular is going to be used, in applications as diverse as education, retail, even during surgery. I think it could be used on a car dashboard. So I think it's going to have some really cool uses, and especially in retail, that's going to be phenomenal because, if you are shopping and you're looking for a TV set, you could have it overlaid on your living room to see if it will actually fit in with your other furnishings. So I think it's going to be really cool. A lot of great things coming down the road.
Wow. I can't wait for that. And you know what? We kind of talked about this when we covered E3 this past year, because a lot of the gaming consoles with the VR. And one of the things that one's had a fear, not really a fear about a VR, but just kind of a concern, is that sometimes we may not want to come out of the virtual reality world, because let's just face it, the world in which we live in, it's sometimes it's not the best environment. And do you see that kind of being a challenge, like the total recall effect when it comes to VR?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible. I mean, that it's going to be so immersive that some people may end up, sitting on their couch longer than they should.
Absolutely, but I think this is incredible to have a magazine like this that can keep everyone up to date when it comes to innovation. And what has been some of the subjects that's been covered over the years with the magazine that kind of like took off? When you guys talked about it in 2013, and you guys had an article about it, and this one innovation just kind of just skyrocketed past everyone's expectation over there.
Yeah, well, I think one thing that comes to mind is the Internet of Things, because I remember we interviewed John Chambers years ago for the cover of what was then Vision, and he was talking about that, and it seemed kind of far-fetched at the time. But I mean, now everything's, being connected, from your thermostat to your TV to your appliances potentially, so I think that's one area that is really, just taken off more than anyone would have expected at the time.
Speaking of a thermostat, I'll tell you a funny story. One day I was at home and I dropped my cell phone, and a lot of my viewers know and listeners know that I'm confined to a wheelchair, quadriplegic, so it's hard for me to grab things. So, and it was hot in my house. So I'm like, how am I going to turn on my Nest thermostat? So I'm like, you know what? I can go online to the portal, go to the website, and I can turn it on. And it saved me, Cindy. I had air. And
Right. And as you pointed out, like for people that, have accessibility needs, our CTA Foundation is working on that in that area, and also for seniors to, to help enable and encourage more products for that area, because I think it's only going to help to improve people's lives and the quality of everyone's life as well.
That is so true. And in the recent edition, the July and August edition, there are some great articles in there. And I'm looking at who's on the cover page. How in the world did you get the senator to be involved with this? I know he's huge in tech.
Oh, yeah. He's been a huge advocate for technology. In fact, he was the one that stopped SOPA and PIPA several years back, when they were talking about kind of squashing the internet. So he has been just a wonderful advocate for technology. And he's also a digital patriot. CTA honored him, I believe it was in 2012. So he's very passionate. So we were fortunate enough to be able to talk with him. And in our September issue, we also had the good fortune to talk to Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker.
Nice.
And also Congressman Fred Upton. So we're, really delighted to be able to, bring their thoughts to our readers.
And, one article that stood out in my mind was Tech in an Uncertain World. That was some great reading right there. And then I think it was a subject you guys touched on, one of the writers, about, was it lo-fi or low fidelity? It was something.
Yes. That's in a technology to watch. I think that was Murray Slovic. yeah, that's a great story, and it's talking about how it could be an alternative to some of the wireless communications. So
Yeah, and especially if you look at bandwidth, and I remember hearing at one of the state of the industry addresses the Consumer Technology Association. I almost said the other acronyms for that it used to be before it changed. It's the Consumer Technology Association, but at CES a few years ago, I remember we're talking about how bandwidth problems here in the United States, wireless and everything. Where do you think we stand as a nation when it comes to bandwidth? Are we going to be able to solve the bandwidth problem, do you think? Or what are some of the writers out there saying about that?
yeah, well, I certainly hope so, and I know that they're having the spectrum auctions to try and talk about that problem and to try and provide additional spectrum so that all these innovators can continue to provide these advanced products and services. So I know that there's a lot of awareness, about how important spectrum is to our economy. And I think that a lot is being done. I think the spectrum auctions, will be very successful. And they'll also bring, hopefully, a lot of money into the Treasury, as an added benefit.
It's a great read. Now, how can ones get a hold of the magazine? I know it comes in digital form. How can they actually get a copy of and sign up so they can be, kept abreast of things?
Sure, we would love to have people sign up. So just go to our website. It's cta.tech/i3, and we have a free subscription form on the site. So I would encourage anyone that's interested to sign up. We have a print publication as well as an online digital publication, and we have a mobile app for Android and Apple tablets.
Awesome. So, and I'll share that on my website too, so ones can definitely find out about it. Now, before we let you go, you teased the September edition a little bit. Things we got to look forward to. Anything else in that September edition that has us like chomping at the bit, waiting to get it?
Yes. So we have a story on augmented reality and the whole Pokemon craze, of course. We have another story on how car sharing is affecting the automotive industry, and will continue to really impact it in the future. And we have a story on cybersecurity, which is an $18 billion threat that impacts all consumer technology companies. And then our cover story, which we're really happy about, is Jay Rogers, who is leading a company called Local Motors, who some people may not be familiar with, but they're 3D printing vehicles. And they use a strategy called co-creation, where they have designers and engineers working together to develop these new vehicles. And it's a really great story, and it truly is very, very innovative. It's a cool business model.
I am so looking forward to that. I'm sure everyone else is too. When can we look for that in our email boxes or in our mailboxes if we went to hard copy?
Yeah, so that should be coming through the end of the second week in September. So we're almost there.
Awesome. And Cindy, before we let you go, what got you interested in tech?
Well, I have a degree in journalism from the University of Maryland, but I worked at a publisher called Phillips Publishing, and I worked in the wireless area of technology. And then I knew someone here at CTA, and of course, I've always loved CES. So that's how I came over to CTA and to work on the magazine here.
That is so cool. Well, we're glad that you came and worked on the magazine too. Got a chance to spend some time with you and talk with you as editor-in-chief of i3, and also she's the senior director of publications for the Consumer Technology Association as well too. And Cindy, it's been an honor talking to you, and you look like you love your job, so I'm going to let you definitely get back to it. And thanks again for joining me here on the Tech Zone.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in Las Vegas for CES on January 5th.
Oh, I will be there. Definitely. So we'll definitely hook up, and I'll say hello to you, and maybe we'll get you part of it. Wasn't that awesome? Cindy Stevens joining us from the Consumer Technology Association, talking about the i3 magazine put on by the Consumer Technology Association. Don't forget to subscribe to that magazine. Great articles by some great writers out there. All right, when we get back, we're going to continue our conversation with women in tech, talking about that app that will help you parents and ones who are taking care of kids to do their chores. I am Paul Amadeus Lane. This is the Tech Zone. Be back in 2 and 2.